Part 3. Charms. The nature of charms. Charms give others greater power over you in your dealings with them, or disempower you by outmanoeuvring you. Charms are tactical tricks rather than enchantments or bewitchments, but they still prevent you from exercising rational judgment, and so are included in this handbook. You will deal with salespeople and other people in business who are taught these charms, and you will need to defend yourself against them. The purpose of this handbook is not to teach you how to exploit others, but to enable you to realise when someone is trying to put a charm on you, and to defend yourself where that is possible. Negotiating with others is like a competition or game. You have to know the rules and common tactics. Just as you need to be physically and mentally fit in order to resist predatory enchantments and potions, there are some ground rules for negotiations. Always be reasonable and courteous. As in sport, play the ball, not the man or woman. Keep focused on the negotiations and realise the person you are negotiating with is only doing his or her job. In a good negotiation, both parties should come away from the negotiation with what they want. Essentially, charms are designed to constrain you, infiltrate you, wear you down, exploit your weaknesses, and block your retreat. These are only some charms. One book on sales technique, Zig Ziglar's Secrets of Closing the Sale, is almost 400 pages long, and there are many books on sales techniques, but many charms are variations, combinations, or extensions of others, and often one charm will perform more than one function. The information I'll give you will, at the very least, alert you to the existence of some of these techniques and give you some measure of protection. Charms and counter-charms. The hole-in-the-wall charm. The hole-in-the-wall charm drastically limits your ability to negotiate or bargain. It is like putting your money through a hole in a brick wall and someone on the other side passing back the product. For example, if you want to buy consumer software on the internet, all you can do is click on the buy button and click that you agree to the pages of legal terms and the price. It is very difficult to communicate with the vendor. You have to take it or leave it. If you go into a shop, the items have a price tag on them, and it makes it more difficult to negotiate a lower price. The counter-charm is you are really left with the option to purchase on the other's terms or walk away. The higher authority charm. With the higher authority charm, the person you are dealing with must get agreement from his or her superior who is absent. This limits your ability to negotiate because you are reliant on the other person to put your case to his or her superior in your absence. A variation on this is where the higher person has laid down not negotiable conditions, which the person you are dealing with is not even willing to refer up. Another variation is where the other person comes over to your side and helps work out terms that will be easier for him to get his boss to approve. You move more towards the other person's side rather than looking after your own interests. The counter-charm here is to have your own higher authority. For example, I have to clear this with my father, partner, boss, accountant, life coach, wife, astrologer, whatever. Another counter-charm is the take me to your leader counter-charm. Ask, if you do not have authority, could you introduce me to someone who has the authority? Other useful questions are, who am I talking to? Who are you? Is a salesperson or clerk working for the organisation you think you are dealing with, or a franchisee, Or is the person you are negotiating with working for themselves on a commission basis? What is the extent of their authority? Asking these types of questions can shift a lot of power your way in the negotiation where you are dealing with a large organisation, as well as giving you useful information. The good guy, bad guy charm. Another situation where you are tricked towards moving towards taking the side of the other person is in the case of the good guy, bad guy charm, also known as good cop, bad cop, or Mutt and Jeff. This is used by police forces and intelligence forces all over the world, and it is very effective. The legendary Stasi spy master, Marcus Wolf, used good guy, bad guy, and sleep deprivation as his main means of breaking down captured spies. It involves the other side having two negotiators. One is hostile and one is friendly. The friendly negotiator, the good guy, takes your side, supposedly against the hostile negotiator, the bad guy. Of course, the good guy is working in tandem with the bad guy and getting concessions from you to enable him to sway the bad guy. The counter charm for this is simply to put it to them, I think you're playing good guy, bad guy here. Negotiate for what you want and treat both the good guy and bad guy as being on the other side. The feet freeze charm. The feet freeze charm involves a subtle form of sticking your feet to the floor. This charm involves getting you so involved in the negotiation that you feel you are committed and forget you can walk away. A salesperson who thinks he can sell you an expensive product, such as a car, will spend time with you. He will keep talking and giving details about the product. He will also ask questions of you because he knows the more information he has about you, the greater his negotiating power. For example, say you're buying a car. There are lots of cars you can buy and you can always walk out. And you can come back if you find this is the best deal. You should always be gracious in your behaviour, but you can always politely back out during the negotiations. Do not let the other freeze your feet to the floor. There are situations where you cannot walk away, of course. Perhaps you're applying for a job you really need, or perhaps the other person has too much power, such as an airport security official, or a police officer with power to arrest or detain. In those situations you cannot walk away. But in many negotiations you can walk away, and your feet are your best negotiating strength. The feet freeze charm involves the salesman or woman making you feel embarrassed. Counter charm. Of course, if you feel the salesperson is setting you up for the feet freeze charm, you should use the early warning counter charm. You should warn the salesperson early that the sale is by no means assured and that the salesperson expends his time at his own risk. This is done by statements such as, "Look, I appreciate you spending your time like this, but I'm only looking. If you haven't got the time, let me know. And I'm considering all the products available at the moment and want to see what your organisation has to offer. And I never make an important decision without sleeping on it." Another counter charm, if you have not used the early warning counter charm, you must use the "I feel so ashamed" counter charm. This involves saying something like, "I really appreciate you taking this time with me, but," or "I feel embarrassed having to tell you this, but." You must realise the negotiation is about whether to buy the product or not. It is not about the salesperson's feelings. Tick the box or closing the gates charm. This involves the salesperson listing all the reasons why you should buy the product, ticking them off one by one and presenting you with no way out. The barristers, trial attorneys, call this closing the gates. You're like an animal in a field and the salesperson has gone around and closed all the gates. You feel trapped. Counter charm. A good counter charm is the obfuscation charm. If you realise the other is using the tick the box, closing the gates charm, before all the boxes are ticked, you can use the obfuscation charm. This involves muddying the waters by giving vague answers to questions, such as the other states, "So you want a blue car?" You answer, "Probably, but I'm not quite sure whether the blue would be visible enough at night. Also, I need to look at the offer in total." Another counter charm, you can still use the walking charm here, or the higher authority charm, but the sooner the better. Another counter charm is the feeling charm. The feeling charm involves saying, "You do not feel right about entering into the contract." This brings me to the important point that you should always be testing what you're doing with your unconscious, your gut feelings. If your gut feeling is that you should not proceed, take it into account. If you say something like, "Look, I see all this, but my guts are telling me no, and I always trust my guts," this puts the salesman in a very difficult position because his argument is rational and you're introducing feelings, and they're your personal feelings. He might turn purple and try and rationalise why you should not be feeling that way, but if he insults you, you can walk away that much faster. Thank you for listening.